Title: Buddha's Teachings vs. The Streets ***. In a bustling city, where skyscrapers touched the clouds and neon lights flickered through the night, lived a young man named Jay. Jay was known in his neighborhood as a bad boy, tough, fearless, and always ready to throw a punch. He ran with a gang, making a living through small-time hustles and street fights. The streets were his life, and he believed they had nothing more to offer than survival. One night, after a particularly rough brawl, Jay found himself in an unfamiliar part of the city. His knuckles were bruised, his face cut, and his heart heavy. Seeking a place to rest, he stumbled into a quiet, dimly lit alley and spotted an old, weathered sign, Buddhist temple. Curiosity piqued, and perhaps driven by an unseen force, Jay pushed open the creaking door and stepped inside. The air was cool and calm, a stark contrast to the chaos outside. Incense wafted through the air, and candles flickered gently. At the center of the room sat an elderly monk in deep meditation. Jay scoffed, "What can an old man like you teach someone like me?" The monk opened his eyes and smiled warmly. "Come, sit," he invited. Reluctantly, Jay sat across from him, ready to mock whatever wisdom the monk tried to impart. The monk began, "Life on the streets is tough, isn't it? Constant battles, no peace, always on edge." Jay nodded, surprised at how accurately the monk described his life. "Yeah, but that's just how it is. You wouldn't understand." "Perhaps I wouldn't," the monk said gently. "But let me share a story with you. Once, there was a young warrior, much like yourself. He lived by the sword, always fighting, always on guard. One day, he met a wise sage who told him, 'The greatest battle you will ever fight is not with others, but within yourself.'" Jay shifted uncomfortably. "What does that even mean?" The monk continued, "The warrior learned that true strength comes from mastering oneself, from understanding one's own mind, fears, and desires. He discovered that through meditation and mindfulness, he could find peace, even in the midst of chaos." Jay rolled his eyes. "So you're saying I should just sit here and breathe? That's gonna fix everything?" "Not fix," the monk corrected, "but transform. The streets teach you to be tough, to react with anger and violence. But Buddha's teachings show another way, a way of compassion, mindfulness, and inner peace. By understanding and controlling your own mind, you can face any challenge without losing yourself." For the first time in a long while, Jay was silent. The monk's words resonated with him in a way he couldn't explain. He agreed to try meditating, if only to prove the monk wrong. Days turned into weeks, and Jay returned to the temple regularly. The meditation was difficult at first, his mind was restless, filled with the noise of the streets. But gradually, he found moments of calm, brief as they were. He began to see changes in himself. The fights on the streets no longer tempted him as they once did. He started to notice the suffering around him, the anger, the fear, the endless cycle of violence. Inspired by the monk's teachings, Jay began to help others in his community find a better path, sharing the wisdom he was learning. One evening, standing at the same spot where he had once stumbled into the temple, Jay looked back at the bustling streets. They were the same, yet different. He had changed. He realized that the greatest battle he had ever fought was indeed within himself, and through Buddha's teachings, he had found a new way to live. Jay turned and walked towards the temple, ready to continue his journey of transformation, not just for himself but for all those who lived in the shadows of the streets, seeking a way out.